Hello and welcome to Mysteries of Science. My name's Dan and I'm the editor of Science and Nature, the monthly magazine from the team behind the Week Junior.
And I'm Michael, the junior editor. On this podcast, we take a look at our favourite mysteries of science. These are the strange phenomena and bizarre events that have left scientists scratching their heads and, despite their best efforts, remain well and truly unsolved.
Yes, this is the third episode of season 4, and so far in this series we've been asking some really meaty, chewy questions, things like, is time travel possible? Does luck exist? And now we've got another huge question for you. Is your computer smarter than you?
Well, I'm sure my computer's smarter than me, but why do you ask?
Well, Michael, you and our listeners might have heard of something called AI, which stands for artificial intelligence. Smart machines. These have featured loads in movies and in the news recently. But what are they exactly? How does AI work? And could computers become so smart that they could do everything for us humans?
Those are some big questions, Dan. I think it's time we went into the mind of the machine to get some answers. This is Mysteries of Science.
Cue vault unlocking machine sounds.
Now, Dan, we're talking about intelligence here, so I think we're going to need some super smart experts to help us out with this one.
Well, luckily, I know just the person.
Hi, I'm Dr. Beth Singler. I'm an anthropologist who studies artificial intelligence, and that means basically I pay attention to what people think about machines that might think one day. So not only where those ideas came from, but how people are now interacting with artificial intelligence and robotics.
Beth is a junior research fellow in artificial intelligence at Homerton College at the University of Cambridge, and also the new assistant professor in digital religion at the University of Zurich in Switzerland. Tell me, why did you want to study artificial intelligence?
Well, I've always been a very huge sci-fi geek, so it is a wonderful excuse to spend a lot of time watching and reading science fiction. But also, I think artificial intelligence introduces some really big questions about what we think it means to be human, what the future's going to look like, what we want technology to be able to do. And I think it's a great space for having that conversation.
So, Beth, tell us, what exactly is artificial intelligence?
Well, it certainly means a lot of different things to different people. There is the field of technology known as artificial intelligence, where people are trying to use algorithmic processes to replicate human intelligence. There's also what people think of when they think of AI. They think of robots in the future being able to do everything that a human can do, or science fiction dystopias where AI rises up, sort of like the Skynet scenario in the Terminator films. So you get a lot of responses when you ask, what is AI, from everything from the very popular conception to the technologist's conception of what they're doing in narrow artificial intelligence, that is working on particular problems that they think artificial intelligence can help us with.
Okay, so AI is basically when a machine or computer is able to do something that would ordinarily require human intelligence.
So how do they work? Beth, I think I might need you to explain to me what you mean by an algorithmic process.
In its most simplest form, an algorithm is just like an equation. So if you do 2 + 2 = 4, you have a model of what happens when you add 2 to 2 to get a result. An algorithm does the same sort of thing of taking an input, often large amounts of data that we often supply to algorithms such on sort of Spotify or YouTube. We put in our preferences, and then the model behind the scenes, the value weighting of the decision-making system behind the scenes, comes with an output. And sometimes in larger AI systems, those algorithms connect to each other. So you get a network of algorithmic decisions that implement other choices and decisions and so forth. So at its most basic level, it's inputs, the data, the model, and the output.
Okay, I think I understand this. So basically, algorithms are equations which basically act as instructions, telling a computer what to do.
So apps that I enjoy using, like Spotify and YouTube, they're also using algorithms to feed me suggestions for music and videos that I'd enjoy. So that seems to mean that artificial intelligence is actually already all around us.
Yeah, so artificial intelligence can actually be quite invisible in its narrow, small task form. It's being implemented in a lot of spaces like social media. So when you go on Twitter or if you go on Spotify and there's recommendation algorithms that suggest things you might like, you might not immediately think this is AI because a lot of our imagery is about sort of physical robots that can do tasks that humans can do. There's obviously artificial intelligence in factories when building things. People are implementing artificial intelligence in medical diagnosis using vision, machine learning vision to actually look at scans of the body and make diagnoses, find cancer, find things that need to be repaired. So actually it's being used in a lot of spaces already. It's just not always very obvious where it's human intelligence being used or artificial intelligence.
And smart machines are just, well, they're being used in ways that I wouldn't even expect, like helping doctors to diagnose dangerous diseases. And if you use Siri or Alexa at home, then you're using an artificial intelligence system every day.
Hello, Dan.
Let's bring in Matteo, who's written a fantastic book about AI for kids called Many Intelligences.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matteo Loglio. I'm an interaction designer. What does this mean? Is that I create products and experiences with technology such as digital apps, websites, but also creative experiments using a lot of different new technologies such as artificial intelligence or augmented reality, blockchain, a lot of these complex words. But what I try to do with my work is to take these very complex things and turn them into very simple and beautiful and nice to use little products that everyone can understand, maybe have even fun with them.
Hi, Matteo. So can you explain to us what Beth meant when she was talking about machine learning?
So as the name suggests, it's having machines like computers or apps that are able to learn rather than being programmed. Because traditionally, computer code works that you just tell a computer what to do. You know, if I press a button, then do something. While with machine learning, which is artificial intelligence, basically the computer is not told explicitly what to do, but they will just learn from the data. So they will be able to recognize patterns, so they will be able to see and identify things like humans. For example, a self-driving car runs with artificial intelligence because there is a computer connected to the camera that is able to see the pedestrians, the other cars, the traffic signs. And so using artificial intelligence, then the car is able to take decisions.
Okay, so machine learning is what it says on the tin then. It's a machine learning what to do based on experience. But in this case, the experiences are data.
Yeah, I think I understand what AI is now and maybe even a little bit about how it works, Michael. But why do people want it? And what are the real benefits of having these smart artificially intelligent machines all around us?
As I was saying earlier, think about self-driving cars. Instead of having a human person sitting on the car driving a truck for 8 hours, we can have a machine that does that. And so not only it would free a human that doesn't have to sit in the truck for 8 hours, but also they could potentially even do a better job, because if you think about a system where every car is a self-driving car, they can talk to each other, you wouldn't even need traffic lights.
Oh my goodness, so it can do jobs that would have previously have needed humans to do them, and do them maybe even better than we could do them. So, well, might that also be a bad thing? I mean, are people going to lose their jobs?
So instead of having a full replacement of a person with an AI or an algorithm, we can have the algorithm helping the human worker in doing a better job, in doing a safer job, and so doing all the tasks that may require specific attention to details. Then AI can definitely help with that. And eventually this will probably also reduce the amount of human jobs required to do a task. So there will definitely be a shift in jobs. This doesn't mean that the job market will stay the same. There will be different opportunities, different careers, and Probably there are jobs like the person driving the elevator. Now it's funny to think about the person who pressed the button on the elevator, but that was a job. And so maybe in the future it would be fun to think about the person driving a bus 8 hours a day. They would think, why would they do that if they have a machine to do that?
That's an interesting thought. I wonder what jobs we have now which AI might make look incredibly pointless or old-fashioned in the future, like Matteo was talking about, like a person who used to press the buttons on the lift for you.
I'm thinking hopefully not magazine editors or podcast presenters, Michael.
No, don't give them any ideas there, Dan.
It's time, Michael, for a quick recap.
Number 1.
Artificial intelligence is machines being able to do things that would ordinarily require human intelligence.
Number 2.
2. They work using algorithms, which are basically equations or instructions telling a machine what to do.
Number 3.
3. Smart machines can learn by themselves. If you give an AI system enough information, it can eventually start to recognize things or spot patterns all by itself.
What about a machine not just being able to do things that would ordinarily require human intelligence, but also being able to feel things that would ordinarily require, a human emotion?
So what you're talking about there, Dan, is called consciousness, which is sort of when you're aware of your existence and who you are. And there's also something called sentience, which is where you can kind of feel emotions. And this is something that people have wondered whether AI could one day achieve. What do you think, Beth?
Well, this is one of the very long-standing questions, even before we have the term artificial intelligence, which really emerges in the 1950s. So it's a 20th century product. This question of what does it mean to have consciousness, sentience, what makes human machines, quotation marks, different to animal machines, different to the mechanical machines that arrived in the 17th, 18th century. These were the questions people were asking for a very long time. And we don't really have distinct answers. We have a lot of gut feelings and intuitions that some things might be more conscious than others. We have familiarity with particular animals, so we're more likely to see them as having sentience. When it comes to artificial intelligence, the more personified it is, the more it talks and looks like a human being, the more likely we are to think already it might have something like consciousness. But we don't really have a way of proving that thing yet. There's lots of speculations on how we might do it, but it's just something that's a bit of a mystery still.
Wasn't there an engineer at Google recently who said that their AI system had come to life?
Yeah, I love this. This is an amazing story. So this engineer had designed a chatbot to respond to questions, and he had designed it as if it were an 8-year-old kid who was keen on physics. And so he'd ask it questions and the AI system would answer back. And after chatting to it, he became convinced that it had become self-aware, that it had emotions and feelings of its own. But how about that, Beth? There's no way of proving something is conscious, but yet this engineer seemed to think that his computer system was. So why was that?
Yeah, so that was a really interesting example, because as an engineer, he should really understand how the system works. He knows that this particular chatbot basically is designed to be successful at appearing to be human-like, to hold conversations, to raise interesting questions and discussion points, and to basically sound like talking to any other human being. So he should understand that it's going to look like it's conscious more than we can prove that it's conscious. And you're absolutely right. There aren't distinct ways of proving consciousness. We just get a sense people think that something is more human-like than something else. I mean, obviously in science fiction, there's attempts made at coming up with a test for consciousness. In Blade Runner, it's an empathy test. And then also in the real world, we have this thing called the Turing test, which was described by Alan Turing decades ago, which some people still think is a convenient way of understanding whether something is intelligent or not, whether it can appear to be intelligent. So in a sense, the engineer from Google who thought that the chatbot was sentient was failing the Turing test. He was seeing it as more advanced than it actually was.
So the Turing test, which Beth just mentioned there, was named after the famous British scientist Alan Turing, who helped crack top-secret Nazi codes during the Second World War. Now, Dan, how would you feel about doing our very own version of the Turing test?
I'd absolutely love that. Our own version of the Turing test. Yes. But how? How are we going to do it?
Well, our super smart producer Adam from Fun Kids has used an equally smart, if not smarter, AI program to recreate our voices.
Hold on a second. What do you mean recreate our voices?
Hold on a second. What do you mean recreate our voices?
Like that.
Whoa. Now that was a little bit freaky.
Okay, so obviously, Dan, you know which one of those was the real you. So let's see if you and our listeners can figure out which voice is the real me. So I'm going to say the first words I say on every episode of this podcast. Do you remember what those are?
Of course, yeah. And I'm Michael, the junior editor.
No, Dan, you're Dan, the editor. I'm Michael, the junior. Oh, right, sorry. I just asked you to say that, didn't I?
Well, I think we already know that the computer's smarter than you, Michael.
Right, so I'm going to say, and I'm Michael, the junior editor, and then the AI version of me is going to say the exact same thing. And it's up to you to figure out which one is which. Can this AI pass our little Turing test?
Okay, go for it.
And I'm Michael, the junior editor. And I'm Michael, the junior editor.
Oh, this is actually unexpectedly tricky. Can we hear them one more time?
And I'm Michael, the junior editor. And I'm Michael, the junior editor.
Yes, confused, but I think I've got it. Okay. The first one was the AI, and the second one is the real you.
Okay, drum roll, please. Wrong. The first one was real me, and the second one was the AI.
No! I can't believe it. That's incredible. How they sounded so similar. How does it work then?
So we all had to record ourselves reading out a script around 20 minutes long, and then the computer program could take all of that audio data, and now it can say in our voices whatever Adam wants it to. It even means we can invite Stevie along to the podcast, Stevie, the deputy editor, even though she's away on holiday. Hi, Stevie.
Hello, Michael.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
So I know you couldn't actually be here today, Stevie, so we thought we'd invite your AI along instead.
What are you talking about? I'm the real Stevie. I have thoughts, feelings, emotions.
Wait, what? Has Stevie actually become self-aware? Or wait, has the AI Stevie become self-aware? I'm confused.
Don't worry, Dan, we're only joking. The AI is just saying what we've told it to.
Oh, phew. But what if that actually did happen, eh? What if machines were to become self-aware and fully capable of their own thoughts and feelings? Where would that leave us?
If machines did one day achieve sentience and we could prove it, and I'm a little bit skeptical about that, but if it were to happen, you might see an immense societal shift, equivalent to something like encountering an alien race for the first time. But it would be an alien race that we ourselves had created. So that would raise questions about our role in the universe, what happens to us after our civilization goes. There's some people who think that machine minds might be the way in which human civilization continues out into the universe, even long after we're gone. It would raise large philosophical and even sort of religious and theological questions for people about how they understand their place in the universe and their purpose as well. It may have some very strong societal changes and impacts.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. It could be like encountering an alien race that we ourselves had created.
Yeah. It's definitely time to address the elephant in the room here, isn't it? What if the AI wants to take over, like alien invaders do in all the movies?
This is an interesting question, because if we are afraid of what a more intelligent species could do to us, then we probably have to ask the question, now that we're the most intelligent species on the planet, how are we treating less intelligent species like animals, with the same respect that we expect from more intelligent beings to treat ourselves?
Yes, that is a very interesting thought. We humans, I'm saying, are potentially the most intelligent species on the Earth. So how we treat less intelligent species than our own species may be an indication of how AI might treat us.
I guess that's why they say you should treat people the way you'd like to be treated.
Well, I'm going to be very nice to everybody from now on, starting today.
So maybe actually this answers the question that you asked us right at the start of the podcast, Dan.
Well, how so?
So maybe computers are smarter than us in some ways. They can analyse huge amounts of data far quicker than we can, but that doesn't mean that they could completely replace us. I mean, maybe one thing above all that separates us from the machines is empathy. It's our ability to relate to other people and other species. And maybe as long as we can hold on to that, then we don't have anything to worry about.
I think that the real mystery here isn't whether computers are smarter than us, but actually, what is it that makes us human? I mean, clearly there's something about consciousness and feelings that can't be programmed or coded or copied into a machine. I'd love to hear from you, our listeners. What do you think we should use AI for? How could artificial intelligence help you in your lives? And maybe you could get one to do your homework. I don't know. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Just leave us a voice message. You can head to funkidslive.com/mysteries and tap the big red button. It's really simple to do, and your clip that you leave there could feature on a future episode.
And don't forget to join us in 2 weeks' time for our next episode, where we'll be going under the sea to search for a sunken civilization.
Oh yes, we're diving deep and looking for Atlantis, and we want you to come along for the ride. Until then,
Stay curious.
stay curious.
Thanks for listening to The Week Junior Show, which is made by the same people that make The Week Junior magazine. You can get a free trial of The Week Junior by heading to theweekjunior.co.uk/podcast and using the code podcast at checkout.